Hi Doug, Kate, Jess and Michelle. I thought I would do an audio to answer your questions because it's probably easier that way and I can give you some more detail. So thank you for sending those through, and apologies again for the technical hiccup last night in the session. I have done some inquiries today and no one seems to know what happened without me replicating it. So just have to put it down to some gremlins, and hopefully next time it'll be fine. The rest of the evening went all right once I'd sorted it out, and tonight was fine as well. So I'm not sure what was going on there. Anyway, thank you for your understanding. So I'll go through the questions. The first one being, how should the team charter agenda be submitted? Does it get attached to the PowerPoint? So yes, the team charter is in a PowerPoint format. So just fill that out as it is, the template, and then you can just attach those slides, copy and paste the slides to the bottom of your presentation underneath the reference list. As for the agenda and minutes, etc., that will just be a cut and paste of those onto a slide at the end. So just copy the content across of the agenda and minutes and just add slides at the end. You don't need to worry about formatting those. I'm not going to be marking the formatting of those. That's more just having it there as information to help with that last criteria, which is the teamwork. So the next question was, how many references should we aim for and what should we be referencing? So if you actually have a look at the marking rubric, I'm wondering if I've actually got it up. I do. Look, here we go. That's handy, isn't it? I'll just scroll down and show you. So in the, if you have a look at the marking rubric for what we'll be looking for, the second criteria, I think it is, is understanding of management concepts. So this is where we want you to draw and link to theory and some of the tools that we've talked about in the learning materials, and to help demonstrate an understanding of how the managers face their challenges. So what we're wanting you to do, and there's more reference down here to management theory, so whether they're actually using a management theory or part of it, or could they be doing it better? So you're kind of assessing how they manage their challenges, for better or for worse, I guess. And then the last part of this criteria will see that the evaluation is supported by evidence smoothly integrated from at least 6 additional reliable academic sources. Now that's to achieve a high distinction. So that will be at least 6, what we're looking for is academic sources. So that's journal articles, research, peer-reviewed articles and textbooks, so other textbooks on top of the learning materials. So say if you've got the learning materials as a source and then the textbook as a source, that's fine. They won't count towards the 6 to get into that high distinction. And I think in the collaborate session we said work towards 4 to reach a pass mark in this criteria. So that's 4 additional sources on top of the course content. So I think that should answer that question. Move over here again. Do the interview questions need to be included in the presentation? No, they don't. We talked about this at the collaborate session as well, and we don't want them to be included because they take up valuable words, and the actual presentation is not a summary of your interview. It's actually a you're going to analyse what the manager has said. So we don't want a question and answer scenario. That's actually a really good question, and quite a few students did that last time. We're wanting you to ask the questions of the manager and then use that information and present your findings, and also take it that next step and link it to some theory. So for example, if you're looking at leadership, you might look at some different types of leadership theories that the manager demonstrated, and it might be bits and pieces of a few, or it might be one clear leadership style or that they might adopt. So we're wanting you to go beyond that. So your words need to be used for that rather than including the questions. There is no particular word count for the slides. It is 12 slides maximum for your presentation with a reference list at the end, and then obviously your team charter and your agenda and that attached at the bottom. It depends on the which part of the presentation to how many words. Obviously, you're not going to make them too text heavy and just cut and paste like a report sort of paragraph, which people have done in the past. You need to present it in a way that's visually appealing, but you also need to communicate your ideas. So next week in the discussion board in week 6, we're going to have a couple of samples from last teaching period that we can have a look at and look at what was done well and some things that weren't done quite so well. So this will help give you a bit of a guide as to what sort of information we're looking for and how much, and just different ways you can present it. You can use charts, you can use tables, you can use diagrams. People got really creative last time, so yeah, there's lots of different ways you can do that. Is there anything in particular we should concentrate on when putting together the presentation? So I've sort of answered that question. I guess the most important thing is to follow the structure that is outlined in the guidelines. So let me just find that for you. So this is a suggested structure here. So we want you to cover the business context in which the manager operates. So that's where you're going to talk about the organisation they work for and what the organisation does, the manager's own role, their position in the organisation and main responsibilities, making sure you're talking about the organisational structure there and where that manager fits within that, so opportunities to bring links to theory there. The major challenge that the manager faces in their role and how you overcome those challenges by just discussing one of the core management functions. Okay, so this is really the content of your slides. So you probably have an introduction slide, a business context slide, a manager's role slide, a few slides for the challenges, few slides for the implementation of the PULP functions, and remember just focusing on one, not all of them, will form the basis. But again, we'll have a look at those samples next week in the discussion boards, and that should be able to give you a bit more of an idea about that as well. So I think that's all. They're great questions, and it's great to see that you've interviewed your manager and you start putting your assignment together. If you have any questions as they come up, I guess the other thing just to think about coming into Christmas and the New Year break, well, it's not really New Year, it's week before Christmas and Christmas break, is just making sure you know who's available and what their contact's going to be like over that time. Some people will have a break and others like to catch up on their study. So it's just important to touch base and connect and make sure everyone understands where you're at. But it sounds like you guys are on track, which is fantastic. If you do have any queries, just post them in the discussion board, or you can get in touch with me via email. I'll be around on email during consolidation week because I'll be marking another unit. I won't be checking the discussion boards during that time, but I'll be around on email for that week, and then I'll have the week of Christmas off. So if you have any questions, be sure to get in touch, and I look forward to touching base with you in week 7 if you need. If you're all organised and you don't need a session, then that's fine as well. Okay, thanks very much.